told the team after the game, you know, I'm not going to rip your ass because if you're a competitor, this hurts bad enough. And you know, as a coach, intellectually, you know there's going to be times when you're outmanned as you start a program with all freshmen. But also, as a competitor, you don't want to believe that it's going to go the way it did today. And clearly they beat us on every facet of the game, and it's still about fundamentals. It's still about blocking, tackling, not turning the ball over, throwing the ball on time, running your routes right, and being in the right coverage, right gaps. And when you play good people, they expose your weaknesses. And clearly, you know, I'm looking forward to 2 years in the weight room, you know, as we go through this. But this is what we have right now. And the neat thing, I don't think our kids gave up. I think our kids continue to play hard. I think our kids have a lot of pride and they want to do things the right way. And we as coaches are going to reinforce that and continue to work to get better. And you know, the disappointing thing was they were a better team than us. I mean, I'm not even questioning that. They're a better team than we are right now. But what I'm disappointed in are the things that we did to help them. Not getting checks on offense, not cutting into the right hole on offense, not the communication between the quarterback and wideouts broke down sometimes today, where one guy thought we were running one route and then the quarterback threw a different route. And while it's upsetting right now to no end, the nice thing is those are things we can fix. I'm not sure we're going to be able to fix 30 pounds and 30 pounds in weight and 40 pounds on the bench till next year. So what we've got to do is fix the things we can right now, understanding that we've got a lot of growth to do as we go forward.
In the second half, when they did start making some substitutions and getting into their old people that they brought with them, the mistakes that you did make when you're getting a nice little drive going and then you fumble, you fumbled open and kickoff. Created short field position for them 3 times. Those are the mistakes that whether you're playing San Diego or Warner, you can't have them. So how do you get these turnover problems?
Well, I mean, the one on the kickoff, it just went through his hands, and he's caught that ball. We practice it all the time, but he took his eyes off it at the last second and dropped it. And he knows he can fair catch it too. I mean.
Trying to do too much?
Well, I think it's a combination of just experience, trying to do too much, not focusing on the fundamentals and little things you have to do. The interception that Ryan threw, it was back across his body. The number one thing I teach the quarterbacks, don't throw late over the middle unless it's 4th down. And, you know, while I'm upset that he did it, on the flip side is the kid's trying to make a play. And he's a competitor and he's trying to make something happen. It didn't work that well for Brett Favre in the playoff game, and it certainly didn't work well for us today. And so, again, some of the things that we're doing is simply because we're pressing too hard, and the kids are trying to make a play, which, as a coach, you like that, and you like that attitude. But again, with experience, you hope those mistakes go down. And the bottom line is this, okay? We got to grow up faster than what. We can't wait for chronological age. We got to get mentally faster, and that's been my message to the team. And I think this, while it stinks to get beaten as handily as we did, it also hopefully will be a wake-up call for and a reinforcer for what we've been telling them as a coaching staff.
What's your quarterback situation going into next week? Is it an open situation?
No, it's not open. You know, Ryan. You know, I had a conversation with Ryan. And I knew you were going to ask this question, Sean. There's always a quarterback controversy in the meeting. No, but hey, you have to ask it. That's your job. Ryan is the starter. Ryan creates a lot of plays. I think Ryan's playing better than John overall. What I wanted to reward, though, was the fact that John had made marked improvement in practice, and I'd seen that. And so we went into the game today. I told Ryan and John, listen, Ryan, you're going the first 3 series. John, you're getting the next 2. Because what happens is if you don't plan it that way, you find a way to either pull the string too fast or find a way to keep the other guy in. Excuse me. And so we went in with that plan. And I think in the long run, again, looking long term, to have 2 quarterbacks who can play at a high level is crucial. As you know, our offense, we run the option. And so these guys are going to, we rely on their feet to make plays for us right now. And so there could be a time where a guy gets nicked up or dinged a little bit, and we don't want we don't want our offensive productivity to go down. Now, one would argue, how could it go any worse than it is already? I don't know. I don't know that answer. That's a joke. I'm hoping you don't print that, but we're taking a long-term approach here. We want to win in the short term. We want to win every game we line up with, but we also got to be mindful of the fact and make our decisions based on where we're going to be in a year and a half, and not where we're at right now. And the other part of that's, you know, player safety. We're not going to jeopardize player safety either.
When things get out of hand like they did today, you talk about breaking down fundamentals, but when things start to go, you have breakdowns that you just normally wouldn't have, don't you? I mean, things seem to be getting magnified in those situations. I guess you're never as bad as you look on your worst day, and you're probably never as good as you look on your best day, but I mean, how much of it do you write off to, God, we just really stunk on the mental aspect of the game and certain fundamentals? How much of that can you write off to the fact that once the game gets away from you, things tend to snowball in that respect?
Well, again, intellectually, you probably know that happens because there's a letdown when you're not competitive within the game. And certainly guys tend to play with a lot more energy, you know, when there's the chance to win the game. With that said, as I told the team at halftime, I don't care if they score 100 on us. I really don't. I'm more concerned about our character and how we play each snap. Okay, right now, I said forget about the first half. That doesn't count. What counts is the next 30 minutes. And what counts is the next play that you're on the field. And for this next 30 minutes, we have to walk off the field a better team than when we started this half. And if we see, and Saban talks about this a lot, it's about the process. And our guys keep focusing too far down the road, and it's a series of good decisions every 5 minutes. That's what makes champions. And our kids have to understand that running the route correctly or being in the right gap, that decision at that time is the most important decision. And don't worry about what happens later. And if we continue, if we get a mindset to where we're like that, where we focus on the process a lot more than the result, I think the results are going to get better more quickly. But our team, and a young team like this, needs continual reminding that that's what the deal is. You know, our generation that we're coaching now is very much result oriented right now. And when you don't get it, sometimes they don't continue the process. And that's why, you know, we'll go back and look at the film and make some assessments on the guys that were in the game in the second half. And if some guys decided to check it in, you know, maybe that tells us something about their character down the road that we got to work on as well.
Individually, a guy like Billy Walsh, what kind of learning experience was today for him? He's a guy that has size to him. You just got to, you know, continue to strengthen him up and let him mature.
Yeah. Well, I think you know, again, you got to see the film. We've got to, you know, Billy's got to keep guys off linebackers, and if he keeps the guys off the linebackers got to step up and make the play. I thought just watching the game from the sidelines that the linebacker, we were a little hesitant at linebackers. We weren't coming and getting the gap as aggressively as we could, which now gives the running back a little bigger lane to make the cut in. And so, again, it's a lot of little things. Don't misunderstand me, but a guy like Walsh who has the size, but does he have the strength? And is that functional weight or is it dead weight? And that's what we've got to turn and metamorphosize these guys into, you know, into stronger, more physical players. That's the bottom line. You know, Terry Tillman, our offensive line coach, said those guys could do more push-ups than we could. I mean, and it's a pretty profound statement, but pretty simple. You know, they looked like a championship team, and then certainly played like that. And I hope our team takes from it. You know, that's what we want to be in 2 years. That's what we want to get to. And I think skill-wise we're close. I mean, you know, I just think, and we knew this going in, offensive and defensive line, those are the positions that take time to develop because they're the ones that have to change physiologically more than anyone.
Good.
Yeah.
Functional weight. Phrase